Thanks, Sarah. You do that thing, don't you, where you go, oh, I'm on mute. Try not to start speaking while you're still muted. Um, so thanks very much to everybody for coming along today. I guess, I think, like everybody, the Chamber's been doing a lot of changing, and who could believe that we're still working remotely on the 1st of July. We've got a number of different things coming up this month, but as part of it, I was looking back at a presentation I did to an Investing in Dundee business breakfast, and I think that was the 5th of March. And although we knew that there was trouble in China, and all sorts of other things were going on, I don't think any of us would have anticipated that we would have still been sitting here, given how quickly we may have thought that some of this would unravel and we'd get back to work. And it's been just a hugely challenging time. But also I think it's the time for everybody to think about, what are you doing, how are you doing it, and giving new things a go. And we've certainly been doing that at the Chamber. So I think I saw Sarah on social media the other day share something about the work that we've been doing. So in lockdown, we had never done a webinar before. So I think in day 2 of remote working, we thought, right, okay, let's give webinars a go. And I think what we've got is the beauty of our community that has supported us as we've tested and trialed and done some new things and been consistent in learning and improving our own services. And I think that's really important. So we do a number of webinars, and I'm really looking forward to hearing from Kelly today. And I suppose just a little bit of background on how all this came about. So our Wednesday sessions for our webinars are very much about supporting people, and we started off with mental health and well-being. And we've done a number of sessions like that, and that's actually evolving into a much bigger program. So more about that, not today, but later in the month, because we will be launching a program that's designed at supporting people with their well-being, their mental health, with their resilience, and how you can share some of those things with a group of like-minded people that are keen to not always say that everything's just brilliant and okay, but want to be part of a discussion where they work out how to support themselves and other people through all of this. Because sitting in front of your screen is hard work, actually, and trying to kind of make sure that you look after yourself and just equip yourself with all the right tools is really important. So I can see Karen Law saying that she's interested in helping. And yeah, we'd be definitely up for that, because this is not about the Chamber being an expert at all in this programme, but about us signposting and working with people as part of that community. And another piece of our evolving work is our international connections, and using our business-to-business connections to help businesses trade more with people outside of your local patch. And while we've seen an enormous amount of buy local, and that's really important that we continue to kind of buy our local fruit and veg and support our local businesses and actually use those independents to help them flourish, making the most of our international connections is really important too. And in April, we should have been in Dubai, and I was introduced to our speaker, not introduced in the, meet Kelly, but actually one of my friends here who has got a brilliant business in Angus said, you should be talking to, or at least following what Kelly does. Check her out on Instagram, have a look and see what goes on. And so I did. So, I think, and Kelly, I'm sure, is going to talk about this, but the importance of engaging virtually and kind of showing up and kind of talking about yourself and what you do, that leads to business. It definitely leads to business and business opportunities. So today's all about thinking about that. Now, tomorrow we've got a webinar about green investment and how businesses are thinking about environmental issues and how that could form part of your business recovery. So we've got that tomorrow. And next week we have got on the 7th of July, we're doing a breakfast, so you'll have to bring your own breakfast. But we've been working with a local organisation called Angus Economics, and we've done a number of economic updates throughout this crisis, but also we've done our quarterly survey, and for the first time ever, we're going to bring that and launch that live and talk about the work and how that's impacting on local and national government, and talking about what businesses actually need at the moment, but what are you going to do going forward to use some of that data and some of that strategy to inform your business. So lots and lots going on. Anyway, I'm going to get out of the way and introduce our sponsor today. So Wayne Paul is going to come in and just talk to us about the Dundee University and graduate apprenticeships and that work. And I'm actually really, really pleased to also say that this week we brought in our very first graduate apprentice who joined our team as part of an ongoing programme of support we've been doing to support young people. And Glenn was a foundation apprentice with us, and then we offered him a job, and he started this week in a business development executive role. So Wayne, I'm going to stop anything further and introduce you. So if you want to unmute and come in, and I will mute when I can hear you.
Perfect, thank you, Alison. Let me just share my screen. Can you see the presentation?
Sure can. Over to you.
Fantastic. Hi everyone, as Alison said, my name is Wayne Paul. I am the Industrial Liaison Officer for the Graduate Apprenticeship Programme at the University of Dundee. And before you hear from the fantastic speaker the Chamber's lined up for you today, I just wanted to take a few minutes to tell you about the fully funded opportunities we are offering to businesses to go and develop their workforce during these difficult times. And although each of you and your businesses will be going through different journeys, it's safe to say we are all united in trying to survive and prosper through these unprecedented times. And whether our current climate continues for weeks, months, or even years, what is clear is that businesses will need to adapt by increasing their flexibility, responsiveness, and efficiency, and overall working smarter to increase the return on investment. And how this will look will vary greatly from business to business. Some businesses will look to expand their workforce, some will look to maximise the skills and experience of their current workforce, and others will unfortunately have to reduce their workforce. But regardless of the path your business will need to take, the one constant across all businesses will be the need to invest in the development of their workforce in order to maximise their potential and grow their business. However, at a time when capacity, resource and finance will be stretched, this will prove to be very difficult for some businesses to manage. And this is where our graduate apprenticeship programme comes in. A programme that offers people of all ages and backgrounds the opportunity to gain an honours degree whilst working full-time and without getting into debt. A graduate apprenticeship is a fully funded programme that gives you the opportunity to develop current or new members of your workforce to degree level while still working full-time and at no additional cost to your business. Combining work-based learning and high-quality education, graduate apprentices spend 1 day a week studying at the university and the remaining 4 days of the week working in their role. This allows them to develop their knowledge and practical experience at the same time, creating well-rounded, knowledgeable and experienced individuals. We have secured 90 places for our October intake, with courses available in business management, civil engineering, engineering design and manufacturing, IT management for business, and IT software development. Our programme has been designed to be as simple and easy as possible for all parties involved. You decide whether you would like to develop existing or new members of your workforce, or even yourself, and we will work with you to identify the right person for the programme and then walk you through the application process. Starting in October, for 42 weeks of the year, graduate apprentices will spend 4 days a week working full-time and 1 day a week studying at the university. And after 4 years, graduates will achieve the same level of honours degree if they studied full-time. And with the programme being fully funded by Skills Development Scotland, there is no additional cost for you as a business, via your employee's wage for the day, and no student debt for the apprentice. So what are some of the benefits you can experience as a business from using our programme? Firstly, you can develop the skill sets of your current employees at no additional cost, something that could prove to be very valuable in the current climate. If you're hiring new employees, the programme allows you to mould them around your internal systems and culture whilst they're receiving a formal education. You can attract new, motivated, high calibre employees who are eager to develop their workplace experience whilst furthering their education. Staff morale, productivity and retention has been shown to increase as they feel that their company is investing in them as an individual and that they're adding value to the business. The programme format allows apprentices to share and implement what they've learned from their lecturers and fellow apprentices on a weekly basis, bringing new knowledge and skills into your business. And finally, even though a programme lasts for 4 years, there is no obligation on your behalf to retain your employee for the duration of this time, as we appreciate circumstances can change. So why should you choose our graduate apprenticeship programme? Well, if you're looking to hire externally, 72% of Scottish employers think job applicants lack technical, practical, or job-specific skills, and therefore have to spend 6 to 9 months training new employees, including graduates. Internally, research has shown that current employees find learning more enjoyable and impactful if it's done in a practical and integrated way. Our programme addresses both of these issues by providing a richer, deeper learning experience, leaving our graduates with both the knowledge and industry experience they need to hit the ground running from day one, all at no additional cost to employers or apprentices. Please don't take our word for it though. Here is a quote from one of our graduate apprentices who has now also become an employer. Catherine joined our programme to develop her own skills for her IT business, and now, having seen the value the programme can offer, has decided to recruit an apprentice who will be starting with us in October. Catherine said, "It really is the best of both worlds. We work in a particularly niche sector and already have been able to use the knowledge that I'm learning in my lectures in the workplace. I would encourage any employer to look at graduate apprenticeships for its staff because it's an investment in them and your business." Thank you for your time today. If you would like to find out more about our programme, please email me directly at w.paul@dundee.ac.uk or simply ga@dundee.ac.uk. Thank you. I'll pass you back to Alison.
Thanks, Wayne. That's fab. So if any of you didn't catch those contact details, we'll be happy to kind of connect you into Wayne or anybody else. So Kelly, I'd just like to bring you in now, if that's all right. So once you unmute and I can hear you, I will get out of the way. We're here to hear you, so not me.
I think I've been unmuted the whole time. I've just realised.
Okay. You got away with that then.
I've been very quiet, I have to say, so it's all good. Hi everyone, how are you doing? Thank you so much for the intro. Really looking forward to this. I mean, one, I'm looking forward to it because it's so good to speak to people from Scotland, so I don't need to tone down my accent, which I have to do so often when I'm doing sort of international webinars. But I'm also really excited to kind of share this content. I know we've got quite a mixed and a diverse group of people on board today, from those that are employed to those that are business owners. So I really hope that there's something that you can all take and apply. You definitely can. It's just how it works for you and your operational side from your business capacity. What I'm going to do is I'm going to turn off my camera and share my screen because I've got a presentation. I've got all the questions up there, so I'm going to be answering those as we go. Or coming in and out and answering them. So if you've got questions, jot them down or type them in the box, and I'll get to them. But yeah, I think we should just get started. Let me just play around here. So I will stop video, share screen, and let's get started. Are we all good? Can you all see my screen? Excellent. Okay, so Brand You and the sort of masterclass and the content that I wanted to share today, I think right now is even more important because, you know, this is a time where our environment is much more competitive. It's where we need to stand out in not only our job as an employee, but also as a business owner. And it's something that I see a lot of is people hide behind their business, they hide behind their brand, and ultimately the best brand of regardless of employee or entrepreneur is ultimately you. So some of the things I'm going to be sharing today are what you can implement straight away through social media strategies, through PR opportunities, because, you know, as I mentioned there, everything that you do to promote yourself in turn has a bottom line effect on your business and what it is you do. Because ultimately, you know, people buy from you. People buy from people that they know, like, and trust. So when it comes to sort of building a personal brand, what I'm not talking about today is how to sort of create your logo, your company strategy, your mission, your vision, your values. Whilst that's all part and parcel of that, what I want to talk about is the actual key things that you can be doing that are directly related to you. So in a recent study, 91% polled showed that they were more likely to purchase from a brand or a business that appeared authentic. And this is what people want, is they want to connect with people now that appear more authentic, that they feel more real, that understand them, that have a story, that they're more than just a business, they care. And that is absolutely crucial. People want to know the story behind the brand. They want to connect because it's ultimately the key to standing out from your competition is ultimately your personal brand. So I've been styling people for the past 16, 17 years through helping them stand out from a style perspective, as a personal brand, but also as a business through what are the things that they can be doing to stand out as a business personally. You know, so if you're building a business around an area of expertise, so if you're an author, a speaker, a coach, a consultant, I saw a couple of coaches on board actually in the comments, it can be a little bit easier because the concept of building a personal brand will come a little bit more naturally to you because you are a brand. But everything that I share, you can take into your business and think about you as a personal brand within your business. And even if you've got a huge business and it's not related to you, it's about what you're doing within your community. How do people know and connect with what you actually do? So just to give you a bit of a sort of backstory as to how this kind of all came about. So, you know who I am and where my authority level is on this. So I've been in the Middle East now for, I'm going to really show my age away here, but a really long time actually. It's coming up for nearly 20 years. And I launched a business here in the Middle East. I launched the Middle East first personal shopping and styling agency in my very early 20s when Dubai was in a stage of massive growth and entrepreneurship opportunities, and just this attitude of anything can happen, anything is possible, really sort of turn those kind of little dreams and ideas we have into reality. So that was kind of what I first started with, was my personal styling agency. And then over the years, as I've developed my skills as a business owner, because it's all good and well having one skill and one niche, but in order to be great at what you do and people to find out about you, you have to be a great business owner. You have to learn, you have to keep learning. And my journey of personal development and growth has never stopped. And this is kind of where the sort of the two brands comes into and how this sort of came about. So I successfully sold my styling agency last year. I have a training academy now where I mentor the next generation of fashion stylists, but I also help people develop their personal brands and help them really create an in-demand personal brand which affects their bottom line and helps them get more exposure, more sales, and builds up that authenticity and trust. And what I realized was that certainly through the digital space, that most people, in fact, I'd nearly go as far as saying is probably 99% of people are interested in following other people rather than actual companies. People want to know what goes on behind the scenes. And I'll put that down to just being really honest. People are nosy. They just like to know what's going on. What are they doing? Some people like to know what you're wearing. Some people like to know what you're eating. Some people like to know where you're going on holiday. Some people like to just know, what did you do at the weekend? And that's just our curiosity and human nature. And building two brands from a styling perspective and building my own brand really catapulted. And it was like people wanted to know what I was doing, the raw stuff, the behind the scenes stuff, the unedited stuff. That's what they were interested in. And that's when I realized that it was about time to really build the Kelly Lumberg brand as much as it was to build sort of the styling agency and the training academy. And there was two sort of pivotal moments. One that I always wanted to start a business and sell it. So I knew if that was going to be something that I wanted to do, you can't do that and be completely attached to the business. So you need to have your own entity, one. But the actual sort of turning point for me was when Harvey Nichols asked me to do my sort of big first presentation gig in store to all their customers. And they said to me, can you send me your logo, and can you send me, all your bio and everything that's about you? And everything that I had was related to my styling agency at the time. And they said, well, I'm sorry, we're not going to promote your business in store. We'll promote you. And that's where I was like, okay, I can see the difference of, as an entrepreneur, you wear a number of different hats. But what they didn't want to promote was a business. They wanted to promote a person. And that's when I was like, right, okay, this is where I need to really start to develop the Kelly Lundberg, or what is now known as the Kelly Lundberg official brand, which is what is my author hat is under, my speaker hat is under, my charitable work is under, everything that's maybe not style and mentor related is under Kelly Lundberg Official. So that's the sort of backstory now. And you know, when I came to sort of look at other brands, I really realized how this affects other businesses that we've heard of. So if we were to take, and when, you know, we're looking at individual brands, and I'm going to go into a couple in just a minute, that would companies be as powerful as they are today if we didn't know who the CEOs were? And I'm going to share with you a few. Before I do, you are who Google says you are. Okay, this is a really interesting statement that in my research, pulling together sort of this content of brand you, I guess, is this is where the foundations for your personal brands come from. So as a piece of homework, not in a vanity perspective, but after this webinar, I want you to go into Google, and you need to do it incognito because you might have Googled yourself before, I don't know that. But I want you to type in your name and find out what comes up about you from a personal brand perspective. I want you to click on pictures. I want you to click on images. I want you to click on videos. I want to see how much content is out there that's related to you. If you are not happy with what is out there, then this is your opportunity to change it. Because ultimately, you are who Google says you are. If people don't know who you are and what's out there, then why would they come and, you know, hire you, or, you know, book your consultancy services? Or, you know, people want to see that likability and the credibility as who your brand is. If there's pictures on there that you don't like, take them down. If there's not enough out there, it's like, right, okay, my strategy for part 2 of 2020 is to create content so that people, when they do Google me, they know that I'm legit and I say I am who I am. So if we take that into when we're talking about sort of personal brands, like someone really obvious, we've got Richard Branson and Virgin Atlantic. Now I've taken their social media accounts, but really what I wanted to highlight here was the personal brand and the business. So if we look at personal brand, Richard Branson, 4.3 million people, probably more since I've done this, that people are interested in knowing on where he is on Necker Island, what's happening with Virgin Atlantic, you know, what's he doing with this business. He posts pictures of his family, his grandchildren, versus Virgin Atlantic. People are interested, but not as interested. Well, let's look at Elon Musk and Tesla Motors. I was so surprised that even Tesla Motors, for the type of technology that Tesla is, that it didn't even have more people following its story, and and the graphics and everything are amazing on it. Everyone wants to know about Elon Musk, maybe what he's called his baby, or, you know, what is it about that he's working on next? What's his real story? Because it makes us feel connected. What this is not identifying is that you need to go and have an Instagram following and buy 500,000 followers so that it looks like it, because that completely defeats the objective of appearing authentic. I would rather that you have a smaller social media following, for example, and we'll talk about this in just a minute, but it's real, that you engage with people, you comment on people, and you have relationships with people rather than the actual numbers. This is more to really engage the difference between a personal brand and a business. For those that are maybe into social media, Gary Vee is prolific on social media in terms of communicating authenticity and the sort of behind the scenes. And you can see that from the fact that he's got 7.8 million followers versus VaynerMedia, his business, which is a media related business. The one that I thought was really interesting was Sara Blakely. So for those that maybe don't know who Sara Blakely is, she was the first self-made billionaire woman in the US. She created an underwear line called Spanx, which is that shapewear that you might have seen in Bridget Jones's Diary, Bridget Jones, the movie, where she was struggling to get out of it. And as a stylist, it has been an underwear garment that I have bought countless times for clients. But what I love about her as well is this just sort of real authentic piece that her husband's a billionaire, she's a billionaire, and you go to her page and it's about like her house is a mess. Some days she shows pictures, she's got 4 kids, she's like, I forgot to drop the kids meal lunches off, you know, it's all behind the stories. And then she's got her business side on it, and just then there's that relatability. What was quite interesting about hers was that Spanx has got a really great following, but the engagement was massively different. So per post on Spanx was like 700 to 1,000 likes, versus Sarah Blakely has anywhere between 10 and 60,000 likes for the same amount of followers. So the key thing is engagement, but the objective of these slides were to show you the personal brand versus company brand. So important. So I want to just go into a little bit more detail as to why, if you're not convinced yet why you should be building a personal brand, then let me share with you a few other aspects on, where's my little slide going? There we go. So we've talked a little bit about this trust and authority. Having a personal brand really helps you build trust with your audience and positions you as an authority and thought leader in your industry. So if you've got a particular niche that you are excelling in, then having a personal brand is really important for that trust and authority piece in it as well. Having a personal brand allows you to be featured in the media for a number of reasons. It makes it easier for you to be pitched and be found by media, publications, magazines, TV, radio, podcasts, webinars. It's just another credibility factor as to why you and your business are great at what you do. If you don't think getting featured in the media is a big thing, it is, because if you go to Google and you type in your name, it's not your website that comes up, it's going to be the links that come up from all of these pieces of brand building that you're doing. So being featured in the media or in these magazines and podcasts and radio interviews and stuff. Also, another benefit of building your personal brand is it helps you to build your network. So when you have a personal brand that clearly articulates who you are, what you do, and how you help others. Let me repeat that if you're taking notes, okay? When you have a personal brand that clearly articulates, number one mistake that people really make is that they have a terrible elevator pitch and they really cannot clearly articulate what they do, who they are, and how they help others. Because that way then it makes it easier for other people and entrepreneurs to see value in you, but also be able to refer you clients. Like, you know, from no other perspective, but from this referral piece, the month of June, I had 6 people referred to me through other people to be mentored through their personal brand. That has come from just clearly articulating to friends that I know, other people that I mentor, that then they can tell other people, and then ultimately that's resulted in the bottom line, that you get more sales. Well, and really attracting more clients. Having a personal brand that positions you as the go-to expert in a specific industry or niche helps you attract more of your ideal clients. So when you're positioned as an expert, it's also easier for people to refer clients to you. And that's probably more what I mean by last month having so many referred to me, because it's easy for me to explain what it is I do, and in turn how I can get results for people. My favorite reason for the benefits of building a personal brand is increased pricing. And I'm going to share something, so I'll repeat it again because I think it's so important, right? Having a strong personal brand helps you justify charging premium prices for your products and services. This is the line that I want you to write down. Without a personal brand, you become a commodity that competes on price. Okay, so without a personal brand, you become a commodity that competes on price. And there'll always be competitors that can beat you on price. Listen, if you're an employee and you're thinking about that, okay, so you can't charge increased pricing, but you can get paid more than someone else within your organization. So how can your personal brand stand out? How can you upskill? What can you do that makes you different, so that then you're not a commodity that competes on price? Like, you're not the most expensive person, so they'll be getting rid of you. No, it's the point is they'll keep you because you've got so much more value to give. I had a recent experience with a coach. You know, as a coach and a mentor, it's always really important that I have a coach and a mentor as well. And I've had one for, first one I had was actually through the first recession. And I've always found it really beneficial. So I was in the market for a new one, and I had this great call with this lady, and I was like, yeah, she seems like she knows what she's talking about. But for me, that personal brand piece is really important. How she helps other people. So I then went and did all this research on her as a person. And I was, well, the point was what she was wanting to charge did not justify anywhere near the quality of what one Google said about her. So what are people Googling about you? What are people finding out about you? So what are some of the things that you need to be considering? What are some of the things that I do with clients when I work with them? Well, first of all, you've really got to establish, what are your brand new goals? What are the things that you want to work on as a person? And don't think because maybe if you're an employee, it's not relevant. It really is relevant. I'll give you some examples of things that maybe you could consider doing. And it could be anything from a milestone on social media. Maybe you want to get to 10,000 followers so you can have the swipe up function. Maybe you want to launch a YouTube page because you're educating people and that's really crucial. Maybe you need to develop consistency. Maybe it's consistency on your social media. Maybe you just need to send newsletters and communicate to the audience that you have already. Maybe you need to build an audience. Maybe you don't have an email list and people that you can nurture and educate, which is crucial in terms of building your personal brand. Maybe you don't want anything to do with you. Maybe you want to work on a sort of charity aspect and it's giving back. How could you adopt that piece within your organization, or how could you focus on that within your business and make that a brand new goal for Q3 and Q4? Maybe you want to be featured on a podcast, and this to me is just so easy, so obvious, and such a great way to build your authenticity, but also your credibility is by being featured on a podcast, because like everyone's got podcasts now. Years ago, I wanted to be on this podcast, which you can see the slide of, Entrepreneur on Fire. I love John Lee Dumas's content. I've listened to it maybe for, I think it's been like 7 or 8 years. He's had this daily show. And I was like, one day I want to be on this show. I want to have an audience beyond what is just the Middle East. And it took me, I think, maybe 4 or 5 months to be on it. But out of that came incredible things. I got a publishing deal. I did a massive competition with Fairmont Hotel on the Palm here in Dubai and Virgin Atlantic. I gave this one girl that had never traveled outside the UK the opportunity, and she won the prize to visit Dubai. Like all of that came from something that was a guest on a podcast. So what are some of the things that you want to do? Maybe you need to step up your style. Maybe it's about time that you're like, you know what, my brand, my personal brand does not reflect who I am and what it is I do. You know, you might think, oh, style's not important to what I do, or, you know, maybe it is. Maybe you need to go and get some brand photography. So you need to step up your style to get brand photography. If you are in business and you do not have a catalogue of high quality pictures, then that is one thing for sure. Straight after this, you need to make a priority. Once obviously all the hair salons have opened. I'm saying that here because all the salons have opened in Dubai now. But I know from those that I mentor, they're like, no, we're still a couple of weeks out before we can get our hair done and get professional pictures taken. But, you know, nowadays everything lives online. So if we don't like it, we're kind of stuck with it. So make sure that it is really high quality. So that's just sort of a side note there as well. Let's go into a little bit in terms of when it comes to your personal brand, you know, your digital presence. Digital presence, especially now, is so important because it's the one way that we're communicating with people, but it's the one way that we can develop relationships without actually leaving home. And this is just going to really escalate even more. Social media is by far one of the best ways to build your credibility for a global audience. And what I mean by credibility is that, listen, I speak to so many people and they're like, I've posted pictures and no one's bought my product. That is the last thing that happens when you have a social media account. Okay? Digital presence, the credibility piece is really your shop window. That's what I want you to think about when you're posting on your social media platforms about your personal brand and you. So late last year, I got a phone call, which was one of those phone calls in an organization where you're like, oh, so exciting, because Louis Vuitton called me. So in a sort of the world of fashion, if you want to work with some of the top brands, you've got Chanel, you've got Louis Vuitton, you've got Gucci. Some of these names may sound familiar to you. And I got a call from Louis Vuitton, and they said to me, we've been following, well, actually, before they said they've been following your social media, they said to me, you know, we've been watching what you've been doing, and we're interested to know whether you could come into our organization and train our staff on style and just enhancing their personal brand within the organization. So I was driving at the time, obviously with my hands free on, and I was like, oh, this is one of the calls that you're like always so excited for. And you know, obviously I could help her with it. And then I said to her at the end, how did you find out about me? And she said, we've been following you a while on your Instagram. Louis Vuitton in the Middle East were following me on my Instagram. I didn't know that. Exactly the same happens when I worked with Chanel. You just don't know who's following. So they didn't necessarily see me post a product and then buy it. They just saw the credibility piece that I was working with for brands. So how can you share on your social media what you are doing is credible so that you can get the call from the organization or the contract or the company that you want to work with? Because nowadays people don't say, oh, what's your business card? Or give me your business card. Nowadays people just are, what's your Instagram handle? Or are you on LinkedIn? That's what people want to know. So let's go into a little bit more detail, because this is not like a social media course. This is just one aspect of building your personal brand. My goal is to help individuals build an in-demand personal brand, which affects their bottom line. So let's look at Instagram. It, for me, is one of the most popular ways to build social media or engagement, primarily because I work in fashion and lifestyle. And that's what people want to see. Consistency in terms of content delivery is huge. And it's creating that piece, whether it's every day or it's every second day. One of the mistakes I see people make is they don't articulate, I said that earlier, articulate clearly what it is they do, who it is they help. That needs to be on your personal brand piece. And you need to maximize your CTAs. You need to maximize your call to action, maximize that link field. So on Instagram, for example, there is only one place that is clickable, one place. But you might have 5 things that you want to tell people about. Visit my website, download a free lead magnet, book a free consultation. So how do you do that? You use an app. The apps you could use would be Linktree, or you could use Milkshake. These are apps where you can then put multiple links in, and then you can share more of what it is that you're doing. And it also monitors what links people are clicking on. So just a few tips there when it comes to Instagram. I'm going to go through some of the key ones. Facebook page. Well, you need to have a Facebook page on a personal brand if you're going to have an Instagram page, because they're related. So you may as well have it. And also, if you're ever going to consider doing ads, you need to have it. But also, it's an opportunity for you to maybe get reviews and include information like maps and contact details. And remember that homework that you've got to do after this webinar, where you go and Google yourself. It might be that one of your links comes up in Facebook. So all these social media platforms are all search engine tools, you know, that when you type in your name, that your name will be connected with that platform, and then it will come up. One of the things I'm really enjoying just now, if you've got a community, is a Facebook group. The reason I like Facebook groups is because people actually interact in them. Facebook pages are really hard work to get engagement, the algorithm issues, and it's just tough. But a Facebook group, you can really develop a loyal following of potential clients, because you can nurture a community, but they could become, or they may already be, clients. So that not everyone's ready to buy your product or service right now. And that's why having a community or a Facebook group allows you to nurture them so that when they are ready, or they have been paid, or they decide they're having a great day and they want to invest in themselves, that's when they'll buy your product or service. This has been one of the tools that I've enjoyed the most in lockdown and over the past 4 months, because it's been the one platform that I feel like business is still happening. It's been the one platform that I've really invested time in, that I've really educated myself, because it's an online portfolio and business journal, and it's where business happens. I would say never be afraid to ask for business, ask for a meeting, connect with people that you wouldn't normally connect with on LinkedIn, because this is your chance to have visibility amongst professionals, business people, and journalists. I'll just share with you a little side story there on how LinkedIn was so, like, just one example. So a few years ago, I spent a bit of time in Los Angeles when I was at the height of my styling career as a celebrity stylist. One of the TV shows that I wanted to be featured on, for those that are in that world, is E! Entertainment. It's the biggest one. It's like, if you ever watch the Oscars, it's about the fashion on the E! Entertainment. That's what I wanted to be on. So how did I find the producer for E! Entertainment? Through LinkedIn. So everyone is literally contactable nowadays. And I reached out to her, we communicated. My time in LA was only sort of 2 or 3 months, so it wasn't long enough in terms of the production side of creating content for them. But the point was, the connections happened through LinkedIn. It's also your chance to give recommendations, and I really push this right now for a number of reasons. Is, you know, as I mentioned there about supporting businesses, you might not be in a position to maybe support all of your local businesses financially, but what you can do is give the business owner a recommendation on their LinkedIn, because chances are they'll probably give you one. But LinkedIn is one of the most trusted sources when it comes to recommendations. And it's free, and it takes you 5 minutes, and you've done something good for another business and for someone else. So give recommendations to others in your community. YouTube, the thing with YouTube is, if you're in a learning space or you're teaching people, then you have to be on YouTube, because it's where, like, if I ever want to know how to do anything, I don't really read articles. I want someone to show me on YouTube. For the primary reason is videos show authenticity, and I would rather watch someone do it than read it. Much quicker. Show me how to do this little hack on Facebook to do an ad, or, you know, show me, you know, if there's any question. I learned how to record a podcast 6 years ago by watching YouTube tutorials, and I am not techie at all. So it's all on there. So maybe if you haven't got a YouTube channel, maybe that could be one of your brand new goals. Whatever you decide to do, you've got to commit to the consistency of it. Other aspects could be Pinterest. Maybe that is for you, maybe it's not. It depends on your business. Remember, it's not just a social network. It's a search engine. People go in, they type in, you know, all sorts. 83% of weekly pinners actually make a purchase from brands on Pinterest. I don't use Pinterest because it absorbs so much of my time, because it's like one of these, what do they call them, like wormholes, or like these black holes that you just go into and you're like, I've lost an hour because you look at this thing and look at this thing. So I try and avoid it, but whenever I'm doing anything that's related to, I don't know, updating my house, or I moved recently, I wanted some new artwork, I went onto Pinterest and I ended up buying stuff from it. So that might be suitable for you, your business, your product. But the whole digital presence side goes beyond just social media. And I find that too many people just get caught up in, I need to post on social media. Now, you need to do way more than that. What about writing articles? What about being featured in your local newspaper? This is Sharon, who I mentor, lives in Ireland. She got a feature in a local newspaper about, you know, how as a business owner, she spends her weekend. That means when she comes to Google her, clients come to Google her, it actually comes up about her. So articles are another great way. Another option could be having a personal branded website. So this was when I knew that I realized, right, I need to step up what it is that I'm doing, because it can't just be about my styling agency. It's got to be about me as a business. Marquita, I mentored last year. She wanted to become a figure of empowerment from empower women, but also beyond just that, launch her own footwear collection. But she needed funding. And the one way that she wanted to stand out to investors was that, she had a great personal brand. And that's one of the things that we worked on. I read a great story actually about this rapper. I'm not into rap, but the story was great. The rapper was looking for an intern, and he posted it out on his social media platforms, and he got loads of DMs and CVs and whatnot. And this one guy created a website that just basically said all these things about what he could do, how he could help this rapper, blah, blah, blah. Guess who got the job? The guy who created the website. And then he went on and toured for a whole year as an intern with this rapper all around the world, and then blogged about his journey, and then got an amazing job after it. So there's so much more to having a sort of personal branded website than a sort of vanity perspective. It really is just another avenue for you to represent and promote your business. Because ultimately, this is what we all want it to aim towards. Having a Wikipedia presence. Who doesn't want that? Because that then really is, hey, I've been recognized and people know who it is, who I am, what I do, I've left a legacy. So that's a sort of a very rundown or an overview, 360 overview of sort of like your personal brand, but some of the areas that you need to be considering from a digital presence perspective. Just remember, you never know who might be watching you. I'm not saying Chanel and Louis Vuitton might be, because that might not be your niche, but that for me is mine. So let's just move into the aspects of how you can create demand in market and media and yourself when it comes to brand you. So there's another example. This is a newspaper here in the UAE. It's the biggest one. And in lockdown, they asked me a feature on how do I spend money as an entrepreneur? And obviously one of the questions they asked me was, how has the COVID-19 affected your business? Now, here's an example of quality pictures. The guy said to me, we'll send round our photographer to take some pictures. And I went, no. I'm going to send you my catalogue of 12 images. You can tell which one you pick. If there's not one there that you like that will be suitable, then you can send your photographer. Why did I not want the photographer around? One is because half the time they're nowhere near as good as someone that I've hired as a professional. Two, then it's an effort that you have to make sure that the lighting is right. You have to make sure it's just way more effort on the day. And if you want to be someone that's running a sleek and business and maximizing your time, you don't want to be messing around getting someone round to your house and making sure that everything's right, or to your office or to your studio. Have your images, and we're going to talk about next what you can actually do in order to make that more seamless. But that's just one example. So I get personal brand pictures taken minimum once a year. That is primarily because my hair changes color that often. But in your business, it might be that you need to get them done every 2 or 3 years. But at the same time, if you haven't updated your best picture in 10 years, I also suggest you get your picture done, because there's nothing worse than perhaps someone meeting you on Zoom and then seeing your LinkedIn picture and being like, you don't actually look anything like that picture. And then the likability and trust is like, well, if they're lying about their pictures, what else are they not telling us the truth about? So high quality imagery when it comes to developing your personal brand is hugely important. Here are some ways that you can increase your visibility. You haven't considered any of these, maybe take some notes. Interviews and PR, so you could get interviewed as a guest expert on podcasts, virtual summits, traditional media. I went to a conference last year in Miami. Grant Cardone was headlining it, and he said something really interesting, and it was just, business is a contact sport. Whoever has the most contacts win. And I was like, that's quite interesting, because it is about visibility. It is about, people hearing who you are, what it is you do. So how can you connect with the most amount of people? How can you be on virtual summits? Because the more people that know you, the more people that will buy into your product or service. You could do some guest blogging. So I guest blog sort of once a month, or maybe not even as much as that, maybe every quarter on Entrepreneur Magazine. I'll write a feature, And, you know, I've got a number of different ways that you can be doing this yourself. Right now, people are crying out for content. And that is because a lot of print publication has gone to online publication. And if it's online publication, means there needs to be way more of it. So people are always looking for content. And this is your opportunity to be able to create on behalf of someone else. And in turn, that helps your visibility on Google. Public speaking. This is Dawn, who I mentored. One of the things that she wanted to do was have be a TEDx speaker. That's a great credibility tool. It was on my bucket list for years. It was something I'd successfully ticked off in 2016 and helped her through the process just last year. Public speaking, speaking one-to-many rather than one-to-one, is the easiest and fastest way to grow your business and develop your personal brand. So what are some of the strategies that you can be doing to develop this? There's countless, and people are thinking, but there's no events right now. No, but there's way more opportunities from sort of virtual summit perspectives in your industry and in your niche. And then there's partnerships and joint ventures. So who could you tie up with that's maybe got your audience or that may become your audience? I went and spoke at this FAD, it's fashion and design school, and they were curious. They wanted me to talk about my transition from being sort of offering in person to moving online and working with luxury brands. And on that panel actually was another Scottish guy, and he works for a retail store here. And through me talking about what I was doing, then I ended up having a meeting with him about offering in-store training for retailers. So I didn't go to have a meeting with him. I was away to talk about something else. But then when you're in that community of like-minded people, there's other opportunities that came up. I speak at a school once a year where I go and speak to like 13 and 14-year-old students who are choosing their GCSEs. And there's the school invites sort of 5 or 6 local business owners that have, you know, different skill sets. So there's an architect, there's an entrepreneur, there's, you know, different aspects. And with the purpose of educating the children to be, these are the different sets, paths you can take, but they're not all the same. And mine is very controversial from the perspective that I'm very, you know, I talk about the vocal point of the route that I went down was not conventional. I didn't go to uni to start with. That was my story. But what's come out of that is constant learning and personal development. Out of that presentation that was to kids, one of the mums became a client of mine and I mentored her for 6 months on one of the programs. So you just never know where the business and where the work comes from. So just bear that in mind when it comes to developing your personal brand. So what are some of the things that you can be doing to bring it? Let's wrap it all in together in terms of like what's one thing that could really help that you could create if you want to look the part when it comes to communicating with journalists and, you know, developing your personal brand on a podcast. Is a media kit. So a media kit is basically a document of information that has anything a journalist or a publisher would want to cover a story on you, or a brand or a partner would want to collaborate with you. They're just a great way to show off media coverage, press mentions, social media mentions, and start as you mean to go on. Maybe you don't have anything right now, but you want to start building it up. Then start with just one and your social media presence and some of the articles that you've written or what you would charge as a keynote speaker. Have that prepared. Here's some other things that you can include on it as well. So who you are, what you do, maybe some of your websites, your geolocations, your social media presence. Like I sent this to the Intercontinental when I just did a recent collaboration with the Intercon in Maldives, and I went for 4 nights to share on my social media where I went. But before I went, I sent them a media kit so they could know what it was I did and what is the type of content that they would get if I went and stayed with them. You can share stats, press releases in terms of anything that you've written or maybe been in, your logo, media file, and photographs, which I've talked of if you don't have, so important. And have it just all in one place. So if these are some of the things that you're like, yeah, I should do that, I'm going to come in actually and answer some questions in just a minute. In fact, you know what I'll do? I'll come in and have a little look now. So there were some questions there before I wrap up, because these are all strategies that I have used in my business, and not just here, kind of all over the world. Okay, a couple of questions. Right, where shall we start? Right, first of all, okay, here's one. How does one establish healthy boundaries so that one does not always feel obliged to be open or on? And how does one protect one's personal privacy and space if one is the brand? And that is down to where your boundaries lie. So I think that people want to know a certain level. You've got to decide what level that is. So some people maybe showcase that they've got children, but maybe don't show their children's faces, for example. Or maybe, you know, again, the same with like spouses or partners. They don't actually show their face, but they'll do pictures or environments from the back or from a distance. That's just one example of it as well. If you want to be really personal, have another social media page that's for all your really personal stuff. Like if you want to just post every picture of your kids, have that. And then have one that's maybe a bit more generic that you post on your personal brand page, if that makes sense. So it's got to be healthy to the point of yourself, but it's also got to be real. And that's what people want to know. And they're the ones where the best performance lies, is the ones that are real. There's a fine line between oversharing. And I think everyone knows what oversharing is. We don't need to know every day what you're having for breakfast, or, you know, every ailment or every woe or every tragedy or every great thing, but certainly space them out is really useful. Brian's asking, what are the best platforms to create content? It really does depend on what your niche is. For me, Instagram is one of the best social media platforms for creating content because of the industry that I'm in. It's fashion, it's lifestyle focused. But it depends on your industry. Maybe LinkedIn. I know one of the you know, friends that I've worked with and mentored, Yvonne, for her, LinkedIn is the #1 thing that works for her. Jennifer's asking, does this approach work across all industries and all regions and industries where the personal brand concept is a turn-off? Probably need to know more about what you mean in terms of a turn-off and what industry it's related, because I think it depends on how the personal brand or how maybe other people have perceived it in the past. So I would say the approach does work for all regions and all industries. Marion says, I too was dubious about a personal coach, but I have, just moved the screen. I have an amazing experience and it's helped me work on my brand. Thanks, Kelly, learning so much. Awesome, so glad you're enjoying it. Okay, Dylan's asking, can you truly be authentic and create those high numbers of followers? Surely that's based on a need to be popular and only appearing to be authentic. Let me come on my videos over here. I laugh only because I don't agree with that at all. I definitely think that you can be, I definitely think you can have high numbers and it's not based on sort of needing to be popular. For sure, there are people that are doing it completely in a vanity perspective, absolutely. But, you know, that goes down to, I don't know what their bottom line is in their business. So I would say, yeah, you definitely can build that up. If you're developing and sharing value, then people will follow you. What else have we got? Okay, relating to risks associated, this is from Simon, relating to risks associated with building a personal brand whilst being strongly linked to a business brand, e.g. Virgin Atlantic, getting into financial problems and the public's opinion on being less favourable as their go-to is the vast personal wealth and islands that Richard Branson has. What are the dangers of creating a personal brand with a business that is built for growth and scale? But I think in that capacity, it's even more important having a voice that they can directly communicate to people by, you know, saying, this is what I've done today. He actually, I'm sure he went on when Virgin Atlantic went through. He did an Instagram live or a Facebook live. Like, it's that way to be able to directly communicate. So I would nearly say, if something does go into a challenge in terms of crisis management, it is your opportunity to be able to communicate quickly and authentically. Like, look at the New Zealand, the Prime Minister in New Zealand. Her name escapes me, sorry, someone can come in and correct me. And she did this Facebook Live, and everyone sort of commented on the fact that not only how well has she dealt with sort of the COVID situation in terms of just every aspect, that she's communicated from an authentic perspective. And she just goes on in her living room and did a Facebook Live with her audience. So I think it's my opinion, and I've got the other one here, devil's advocate question that echoes Dylan's to some extent. Is a personal brand appropriate for everyone? My own view that it isn't. And there could be other reasons as to why it isn't. You know, I disagree with it only because I've seen the success that it's had in my business and the success that it's had on those that I mentor, and just with where the environment is going now, that you want to control what is shared. You want to be in control of that. And that's why having social media platforms allows you to do it. Anyone that I engage with that I'm actually spending any money on or buying from, if they don't have anything really about them, why am I going to buy from them? I don't know about them. Is it good? Is it not good? Why would I? So, you know, each to their own, I guess, but that's I guess, personal perspective on sort of that front. Oh, sorry, Alison, I saw you were there. Yeah, what I was just going to finish up. So I'm going to share with you just if there's any other questions, come in and ask me, and then I'll just wrap up here because I know that we're kind of coming out of time. You know, again, I'd said, you know, this doesn't work for this has worked for everyone wherever I am. Like Yvonne that we talked about, you know, she did Brand You, and at the end of it, like, she's not in fashion, she's in Scotland, and then she ended up with a podcast, being interviewed on a podcast with a travel company that had a following of 10,000. So, you know, whatever it is you're in, remember that Grant Cardone quote that was, you know, business is a contact sport. The more people that know about you, the more people that know about your business is ultimately going to return on your bottom line. So if this is something that's kind of got you excited, it's your time to make an impact, then I just wonder how inspired you're feeling by it all. If you are, tell me in the chat box you're inspired. Tell me something that you're actually going to do, because I love doing these presentations. My goal every day, my affirmation is that I inspire 5 people a day to take action. And so many people come to these things and they half invest, but they don't actually follow through. So tell me if you're inspired, tell me what you're actually going to do about it. And just to share with you, nothing that I've shared is theory. Nothing is theory. Everything I've done, my clients have done, and I've just got a system, and I've taken you through some of the steps of the system that works, and it will work for you. So if you want to know a little bit more about how you can showcase your credibility and build your brand, like how do you get on that podcast show like Yvonne did, or what should you write on your personal branded website, or what's right for you, you've got 2 options. You can just wait till COVID's over and go, you know what, that was a great webinar and I'm going to do nothing. Or you can decide opportunity to learn a little bit more and invest in your personal brand, which, to be honest, if there's any time to be working on you, it's now. You might have a little bit extra time than you do normally. So learn how to grow your brand, your business, and your impact, and leave a legacy. What I do is I share a step-by-step formula for growing your brand, your brand awareness, your likability and trust, wherever you're based in the world. And ultimately that's going to help you nurture a client database and, you know, be recognized in the media. And I disagree if anyone doesn't want that right now, because, you know, we're in survival mode about building our businesses and our brand. Just to give you an overview of what's included, 6 step-by-step weekly modules to get clarity on your message, who you help and why. That part that so many people make the mistake on. Create brand new goals, so a hit list of maybe who you want to target, what magazines do you want to be in, what do you want Google to actually say about you? Where do you want to be featured? Crafting a really seamless bio and elevator pitch, how you should step up your social media, what are the strategies that works, how do you get verified on Instagram, how do you develop a YouTube channel or get more recommendations on LinkedIn. These are all aspects that I talk about. And what's the secret to building a community and developing your database? How do you do that? Because your database is ultimately your net worth in business. And this is also followed by 6 weekly grouply mentoring calls with me every Monday. So there's loads of checklists, worksheets, action items. I make you do homework. Like I said, you can make it shelf development where it just sits on the shelf, or you can actually make it personal and make it work for you. So this is everything that you'll be able to create: expert status in your niche, credibility, clarity in who you are and who you help and why. And really just a database of hot potential clients that have fallen in love with you and your brand you. So if you're ready to step up with lifetime access and all the materials, you can get started for $97 or 3 monthly payments of $97. Or for my community, because this is what it normally is just $297 today. This is my little special for you all for the 1st of July, the part 2 of 2020. I'm going to share with you a link right now in the questions box for you to avail that today. And if you do, there's a couple of bonuses, like how to grow your brand as an entrepreneur, and a treasure chest of cheat sheets included in that as well. So if you're feeling like this is a fit for you and inspired, I'm going to send the link right now and answer any more questions and stop sharing my screen. Let me just pull this down. Where are we? We stopped here.
Yeah, I was just going to wait to say, I'll just jump in while you're kind of putting the link in to
Perfect.
say, yeah, we're not seeing your screen, so you're all good there. Thank you so
perfect.
much.
Thank you.
I'm going to add something to their homework. So a couple of things. I mean, there's lots of really great homework pledges, I think, in the chat. So lots of people are going to do lots of things, and I can add to that. So if you're a chamber member, we've got an In Your Shoes weekly blog that members fill in, and it talks about their week. So it's definitely, you know, there are some really interesting days usually in the weeks that people will pick, you know, so it's like the most interesting Wednesday you've ever had in your business, or, you know, you worked with the most interesting client on the Tuesday and lo and behold, you're showcasing it on the Chambers In Your Shoes blog. But please remember, if you're a member of our chamber, you've got that opportunity to showcase your brand and showcase your business. Now it does book up pretty far in advance, so if you're interested in booking your week's slot, which I think from memory is probably September onwards now, you know, you just need to get in touch with us, and you can do that through our chamber social media, or you can drop an email to membership@dundeeandanguschamber.co.uk. And I think, I mean, mostly I think all the questions were answered, but if there's anything else and you want to get hold of Kelly, you certainly know where she is on Instagram, and if you wanted a connection through us, then please give us a shout. I'm conscious of time, so I think the best thing to do is just to say a massive thank you to Kelly, and to everybody for participating. It's been really, really interesting. I've got 8 or 9 actions, I think, sitting. And what I really loved was, please don't make this shelf development. I don't think I've come across that phrase before, but how valid is that? You know, I think we've all done that kind of thing, isn't it? Which is, you go, oh yeah, I'm going to do a whole bunch of follow-ups and kind of develop me or develop my business, and then all you do is develop your shelf. So please don't do that. And enjoy the rest of your week and the second half of the year. This is, nobody likes more action than me. So if you're going to do anything for 2020, then it's use the second half of your year to implement some of the things that you chose not to do in the first 6 months. Thank you so much. Enjoy the rest of Hump Day, and we'll catch up with you on another webinar. Remember, this will be on YouTube too, so if you missed a bunch of things, or you want to come back in and see some of that content. Thank you to Sarah for organising us so well, and mega thank you to Kelly. Enjoy the rest of your day. Thanks, folks.
Thanks, everyone. Bye.
Bye.